Welcome back, Officers Republics, your Coruscant Honorable Police Chief, APGAINS, another episode of APGAINS at night. It's APGAINS, but it's harder to see me. Introducing Triple Trip and BT1. We already talked about this. We're not going to go over kits or anything like that, blah, 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 blah. What does this mean for the game? And what does this mean for you? And by you, I mean people without $50,000 to spend on this game. Let's find out. So this brings up an interesting conversation that a lot of people are having, you know, assuming their BlueStacks isn't lagging. But, you know, these days, assumptions are something about asses and you and me. All right, so let's hop into the droids and kind of break this down from the stizzy izzy. Okay, so they're not in the game yet. So the droid faction is really interesting because they don't do a whole heck of a lot for most people, right? There are some gems in here. The Grievous team is awesome. Dark Trooper is awesome. 3PO and Chewie and C-3PO are awesome. Shorty, for those who actually have her, is awesome, right? This character is phenomenal. The problem is it's a pretty hefty requirement to get her up to stars. It's an okay hard node, but you know, not a lot of people have companion droids to make this work. Not a lot of people have your L3s and your T3s and stuff like that. Her gear is pretty intense, and that's just another relic character that a lot of people don't want to bring up. But I'm going to make the case that Shorty might actually be breaking into that backbone section of the game. And this all depends on how Trip and BT work, right? Are they going to be slotted in entirely exclusively with Dr. Aphra, which would make sense? If so, is there room for Shorty not being the leadership ability right here, right? Obviously, you're not going to apply that Conquest Omicron. Or is the Dr. Aphra team going to work with a Vader or work with her other requirements if Trip and BT aren't requirements for whatever reason, right? I think when they come to the game, if they have 3-star viability, right? Like Hondo had great 3-star viability. Where's our boy? I regret immensely the amount of effort I put to get him at R5, but he's got 3-star viability, right? No one can deny that. If both of the droids have 3-star viability, similar to how Shorty also had 3-star viability, I think this could be an easy plug and play for a lot of players. Obviously, she has the VIP mechanic, which is great. There's tons of survivability in her kit. There's speed, defense, a couple of unique mechanics. Obviously, we have the spare parts unique, like granted ability, or not granted ability, but granted buff, which helps them out a lot. L3 is a great tank. I still, like, most people are never going to have L3 and never going to have a well-geared T3 M4, so it's like kind of hard to, put that in there. But if you could go Shorty at 3-star viability, if you could go Trip and BT at 3-star viability, and maybe it does force you to, either you're like me and you just kind of passively accrue L3 shards as the years go by, or invest, in a great tank droid that's going to do a lot for you, or maybe IG if you don't have a great scoundrel squad or whatever, maybe IG plugs in there somehow, or maybe you just find a way to make it work. You know what I mean? Maybe they give us another droid. But I think this team is going to be serious for a lot of players who are in that early to mid game because of that 3-star viability. I mean, these are marquee characters we're talking about. If you're, let's just go up by GP brackets. Let's make this as all-inclusive as possible for a lot of players. If you're in that sub 2 million GP and you got the marquee characters and they're Gear 7, you got some ability mats on them, you're probably going to be able to do a lot of stuff. You're probably going to be able to do a lot of good stuff with them, even without the 3v3 Omicrons, which I do not recommend applying. If you're in that 2 to 4 million GP range, maybe, a couple of Gear 8s, Gear 9s, maybe you can find some teams that they counter super well. And then it's kind of like a Wampa situation, right? You take in a minimal investment and you get a large investment out of it. Maybe you're in that 4 to 6 million GP range and you can afford to have Relic, Shorty. You can afford to Relic your Trip and your BT, but it's going to take you a little bit longer. You can probably find some pretty good places to either put them on offense or defense. And then obviously people over 6 million GP tends to have way more than the rest of us. I say the rest of us as after almost 3 years, I'm finally approaching 6 million GP, which is the greatest thing ever. Because, once I flip that 6 million GP switch, I'll officially be an end game player, and you guys will be like, "Oh, AP Gain, you've changed. I miss the old AP, the less than 6 million GP AP." There's a lot of acronyms there. Less than 6 million GP AP. I should reconsider all of that good stuff. But yeah, I really want to know what you guys think about this whole Shorty potentially working with Trip and BT, or, we obviously don't know the Afra kit or the rest of the requirements. Are Trip and BT going to be the requirements for Afra? We only need one more. Are they going to plug into her team? Is she going to be geared to, doing stuff with other characters outside of those droids, which would obviously make the most lore sense. But we know Capital Games, they're not huge fans of, let's just say, what the lore tells us to do, as we all know, i.e. the Star Killer team and the Lord Vader requirements and all of that good stuff. So I think we're entering exciting Theorycraft waters. I just hope that they are 3-star viable. Stop selling me packs and stop lying about the price. I think we're entering exciting territory where we could have a solid droid 3-star viability. This could be a free-to-play player's wet dream, if you will. Obviously we need to see how they work. Their kits look good, but it's going to come down to how do they function in practice, and how does Afra work? Because Afra is not going to be a character or a team that 95% of players will ever have, right? Maybe not ever have, but have in the next 6 to 12 months, right? Same with Starkiller, right? I was in a good, solid mid-game place when Starkiller came out. I knew Starkiller was good, but there's just always that other thing that you can be doing, right? There's always that ship you could be farming, or that, Core 8 auxiliary backbone team you could be putting together, right? Like, I was approaching the point where, I hit my 2 GLs, I hit my Executor, my Profundity, I was like, it's Starkiller time, baby. And I was like, wait a second, maybe I can get a little Scoundrel, Smuggler, Dash team going on. And then I was like, oh shit, I'm about to unlock Maul. Maybe I can get some sort of Maul Mandalorian team going on, right? There's always going to be that distraction, so I guess we have to wait to see if Afra is, like a CLS or a Gas or a Darth Revan or a Bounty Hunters, right? Where it's like, this is 100% what we need to be farming, and we know concrete the order in which we need to be farming those teams. So I hope we know soon what the kit is, the last requirements, because I'm excited to see. All right, I've held you for long enough. Subscribe to help my ego. Like if Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes will never die. Yeah, I haven't read the comments from that video, but I'm 100% sure there's going to be like, AP Gains. Well, and to be fair, I can't talk about that. Never mind. All right, so I'm going to apply this Maul Zeta. Actually, a little pop quiz. Which Zeta? I'll let you guys pick in the chat. That'll be your bonus for staying to 8 minutes. Which Zeta should I apply? This one, it's 5 stacks of Anguish, increase cooldowns, or this one. If the enemy is defeated by this attack, Maul gains maximum stacks of Anguish. This will be your reward for staying. Let me know which one you guys want. As always, I love you, and I'll see you later.